feel like I have been on a diet forever, but this jerk right here will not budge. I eat right, I exercise, I even waited to eat until noon today, but still nothing. If you're over 40 and still struggling with stubborn belly fat, even though you are eating clean and working out, your body isn't broken. You've just been sold all of the wrong fixes by these 20-something influencers who've never dealt with a body that is headed full steam into perimenopause, or whose metabolism woke up one day and opted for early retirement. So in this video, I'll break down every truth about losing belly fat that most women over 40 need to understand so you can finally ditch the muffin top for good. But you won't ever get that jerk to shrink if you keep falling into this first trap. If you're like most women who wait until you have the perfect meal prep routine, the perfect workout schedule, or the perfect week with zero stress before getting started, then you will never have the perfect midriff. Because waiting for perfection just leaves you waiting around doing nothing. If you want the things that come along with a lean body, you have to do the hard work it takes to actually get it. I was stuck for more than 2 years because I kept telling myself keto and intermittent fasting was all I needed to lose weight. But after stressing my already stressed out body with these strict approaches for more than half a decade, my body revolted and said no more. It wasn't until I stopped forcing perfection by fasting longer or cutting carbs even lower that I finally started feeling like a human. And feeling better allowed me to do what was actually necessary to get to a healthy weight after 40, which was establishing the gentle habits that I could stick to long term. Which meant there was no more falling off track or constantly restarting from scratch, because eating more protein in a moderate calorie deficit while lifting weights 2 to 3 days each week just became my lifestyle. Not for the next month, not for the next 6 months, but for the next 6 decades, hopefully. But if you keep trying to force yourself into strict diet rules only to give up whenever you're not perfect, you're just setting yourself up to stay stuck exactly where you are. Your life will always be messy, your schedule will always be packed, and there will always be another birthday party with cake. Which means you need to start now with your imperfect life, your imperfect schedule, and your imperfect willpower if you ever want results. And if this is something you also want to do for the next 6 decades, you have to quit that all or nothing mindset. And you want to know what continues reinforcing all or nothing thinking? Every time you feel fat, so you immediately jump back on the keto or carnivore or even vegan bandwagon. You don't need extreme diets to lose belly fat. All you need is a moderate calorie deficit and patience. So quit fearing bread, every last drop of seed oil, and wine. Well, I'm not saying that having a diet made up exclusively of these foods is ideal. I am saying if you want a slice of bread to complete your meal instead of just slamming down meat by the fistful, then eat the freaking bread. I eat bread nearly every day, and I lost 50 pounds while doing it because I finally realized that it wasn't bread that was keeping me fat. It was eating too many calories while moving too little. Because here's the truth that no one wants to talk about. The average American eats 3,500 calories a day while getting less than 20 minutes of activity. Let's get real honest for a minute. I'm an active woman who averages at least 1 to 2 hours of exercise each day, which includes building my metabolism up by building more muscle. And I eat 2,400 calories to maintain a healthy weight. Compare that to the average American who does nothing to build or maintain muscle and whose only activity is running to the fridge for another snack. Because how else is everyone eating 3,500 calories a day? And no, I'm not shaming anyone, but we need to be real honest about why so many women struggle with their weight. It's not because you have a slice of bread every now and then. Whether you're eating 3,500 calories that are filled with seed oil or 3,500 calories worth of avocados, if you're only averaging 20 minutes of activity every day, you will gain weight. The problem isn't that you're not following a specific diet. It's the all or nothing mindset that makes you feel like a failure every time you fall off track, which always leaves you starting with the right intentions, following every strict rule, at least until cravings hit, your brain revolts, and you find yourself face first in a bag of chips, which is exactly where all of this all or nothing thinking gets you. Sustainable fat loss after 40 is never about finding another strict diet. It's about finding a middle ground that you can actually stick with while juggling real life. Speaking of real life, let's address the elephant in the room. Your hormones are not your friend right now. After 40, especially as you approach perimenopause, your body starts producing less estrogen and progesterone. Meanwhile, cortisol, which is your stress hormone, runs higher thanks to all of the responsibilities you're juggling. And by responsibilities, I mean everything. You're managing work deadlines, shuttling kids to 17 different activities, shopping for aging parents, remembering everyone's doctor's appointments, and somehow you're expected to have dinner on the table and actually look put together while doing it. You're the one carrying the mental load of everything. The bad news is this hormonal cocktail makes your body want to store fat around your middle. It's not fair, but it is biology. The good news is you can work with your hormones instead of against them just by managing stress, which I get it. It sounds impossible when you are living in survival mode, but even making small changes can help. Sometimes it's just as simple as saying no to one more commitment or taking 5 deep breaths before absolutely losing it on everyone. You also need to eat enough protein to support muscle mass while lifting heavy weights, since muscle doesn't just magically appear just because you're doing burpees until you cry. And you have to avoid extreme calorie restrictions and overdoing intense cardio, because both spike cortisol, making your already stressed out body even more stressed. And here's the big one that most of us completely ignore, which personally, I blame Bon Jovi, because he had us all believing that we could live while we're alive and sleep when we're dead. But that's actually the fastest way to an early grave. I used to think sleep was for people who had nothing else to do. Meanwhile, I had everything to do, like staying up until midnight scrolling Facebook because commenting on every back-to-school photo my mom friends posted was clearly urgent. And don't even get me started on the mom guilt when you choose more sleep over folding that last load of laundry. Then I'd wonder why I was face first in a box of donuts by 10 a.m. Here's what I wish I knew sooner. When your sleep sucks, everything else falls apart. Poor sleep makes you hungrier, it increases cravings for sugary foods, completely tanks your willpower, and makes your body more likely to store fat around your middle. It's like your body's punishing you for not resting. I'm not saying that sleeping 8 hours will magically melt all your fat, but fixing your sleep makes everything else, like the workouts, choosing healthy foods, and actually staying consistent, way easier. Think of sleep as the foundation that everything else is built on. Without it, you're trying to build a house on quicksand. Something else that's tanking your progress faster than you can say, "But I eat clean," is not tracking your food. Yes, even the healthy stuff. I know I harp on this in pretty much every video, and still, most people watching think that tracking is just too obsessive. But you want to know what's actually obsessive? Cutting out entire food groups, limiting yourself to only 1,200 calories a day, or forcing yourself through 2-hour workouts, all because you think it's too obsessive to put your plate on a food scale and spend 2 minutes typing in what you eat. Here's the truth. I am desperately trying to save you from these obsessive, never-ending fad diets, and all you have to do is track your food. Tracking everything you put in your mouth shows you the truth that you can't unsee. You'll finally understand portion sizes, and you'll see exactly how much you're eating. And if you are still struggling with belly fat, that's the real culprit right there. It's not because you had a few fries with lunch or you slipped up and ate dessert. It's because you refuse to see the truth about how many calories you're actually eating. But tracking isn't about being perfect. It's just about being aware, because awareness is what finally gives you control. But even if you finally give in and track everything you eat during the week, your entire plan could easily fall apart if you're making this next huge mistake that so many dieters make. Because even if you track every last crumb Monday through Friday, just one weekend spent living your life can easily undo your last 5 days worth of progress. Let's say you're perfect Monday through Friday, staying in your calorie deficit. Then Saturday hits and you're celebrating your friend's birthday dinner, followed by a family barbecue on Sunday. Since you told yourself that you deserve a break, you never even realized that you ate more than 3,000 calories each day. So even though you were good all week, That weekend jump puts most dieters into a surplus for the week, which causes you to gain weight, even though you worked your butt off all week trying to lose it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't unwind on weekends, but if you're serious about losing fat, you need to stay in a weekly deficit, not just a daily one. If fat loss is your goal, then plan for 1 or 2 reasonable weekend meals out. But you have to quit throwing caution to the wind and ordering everything that you felt deprived of during the week. And even if you think that you can just hit the gym harder to make up for those weekend splurges, the real truth is you can't. Because you can't out-exercise a bad diet, especially when you're over 40. I used to believe that I could eat whatever I wanted as long as I worked it off in the gym, which was a big mistake. Here's what I had to learn the hard way. You can train harder and harder while still getting softer and softer, especially when you're dealing with hormonal changes that make your body want to store fat right around your middle. After 40, when you're juggling work, kids, and everything else that life throws at you, you don't have the time or energy to exercise your way out of overeating. The math just doesn't math. Fat loss happens in the kitchen with a moderate calorie deficit. Sure, exercise helps, but it's not the magic bullet that we all desperately want it to be. And if you're still trying to crunch your way to a flatter belly, let me save you some time. You could do 1,000 crunches every single day and still have a belly that jiggles whenever you laugh. A flat stomach isn't made from endless floor exercises. It's revealed when you lose fat all over your body. But here's the really frustrating part. Your body decides where that fat comes off, not you. Your body burns fat like a stubborn teenager who's given a simple chore in the most annoying way possible. It typically starts with your face, which great because now you look gaunt. Then it moves to your back, maybe your chest and your arms. And finally, if you're lucky and extremely patient, it gets to your muffin top. This is why you feel like you've been dieting forever with 0 results. Noticing that your rings are falling off, but your jeans still feel way too tight. If your belly is still there, but your face looks thinner, your plan is working. You just have to be patient because you have more fat to lose. Understanding that your stomach is the last place that most women will lose fat will save you from giving up right before getting the results you want. But here's where things get tricky. Because while you're waiting for that stubborn belly fat to finally budge, you're probably getting a lot of well-meaning advice that's actually keeping you stuck. Like that all too common but really unhelpful phrase, "You look great for being over 40. Look, I am all for kindness, but if you don't feel good about yourself, or even worse, your health is suffering, then you need to get real about your current reality. You don't need to get to 20% body fat to be worthy of love. But also, you don't have to stay above 35% just because that's what society says real women look like after 40. You get to decide what makes you feel confident and healthy. Don't let anyone guilt you into staying stuck because that's just what happens after having kids. Speaking of what happens after kids, there's one more thing that could be sabotaging your progress that has nothing to do with diet or exercise. Because even after hitting your goal weight, you might still have a pooch that will not budge no matter what you do. If everything else is looking tight and toned, but that area around your middle can be stretched and it doesn't feel thick, that's probably loose skin, not fat. I spent months trying to get that last little stubborn bit off, thinking that I was failing, when really, I just need to understand what I was actually dealing with. I learned this the hard way after dieting way too long, trying to lose fat that wasn't actually fat. So don't make the same mistake. And now that you know what's really going on with your body, let's get to the point that I really want to drive home. Losing belly fat after 40 isn't about finding the perfect diet or having superhuman willpower. It's about understanding how your body works now, not how it worked in your 20s. It's about making sustainable changes that actually fit your real life and then being extremely patient with the process. And I get that being patient is hard when you have got conflicting nutrition advice coming at you from every direction. If you are sick of all of the diet noise and you just want a plan that works already, I can help you put your perfect plan together. I'll add my personalized plan link to the pinned comment so you can finally get on track with a plan that actually works for you. Not for the next 6 months, but one that works forever. Listen, your belly fat didn't appear overnight, and it won't disappear overnight either. But with the right approach and enough consistency, you can absolutely achieve the strong, healthy body you want, even over 40. If you're ready to start now, watch this video next to learn the exact system I used to lose 50 pounds after 40 and that I still use to easily keep it off.